Coach, coming off your third straight winning season, what is it you want people to know about what you've built now at Maryland?
I mean, it's not really about what I want them to know. It's what I want my team to believe and understand is that what we've been able to accomplish is a byproduct of a lot of sacrifice, hard work. We've had a lot of coaches and players that have played a part in getting us there, but the past doesn't define what happens in the future. And that, it's time for us now. We've shown that we've gone from a team that didn't go to bowls that consistently goes to bowl games now, and it's not your same old mama's Maryland. But to take this next step is the biggest and the hardest, and having been a part of winning national championships, putting this in front of our players for them to understand. Like, if I heard Will Smith say something about like the Bad Boy movie, they saw it and it was 90% there. Like, we're at 90%, and the guy producing it said, which means we're 50% away from 100% and being great. And that's that next step for us. We shown we are a bowl eligible team every year the last 3 years, but can we win the big game? Can we put ourselves in position in November to have some meaningful games that allow us to make a championship?
So, what are those things that you get to 8 wins, then it's like, how do we find a way to get to
Our
10?
players understand it's sacrifice.
Right.
Like, to get from that 90% to that 100% or from that B to an A, it's not just a 10% growth. It's you got to do a lot of stuff different. You got to make sacrifices where maybe you eat differently. Will says you sleep differently. You change the environment of the people you're around. And our players kind of get that. And when I talk about this year's iteration being comfortable and confident, it's not comfortable in that we've arrived. It's we know who we are because we've been through some stuff together the last few years, and we're going to take some of the failures we've had, take the lesson from it, apply it, and let's see how the chips fall.
And I've heard you emphasize that in this conference, you got to be able to run the football, you got to be able to stop the run. How do those units in the trenches look going into this season?
I mean, it couldn't fit at a better time for us as we lose a talented player in Taulia Tagovailoa. We've become a defensive-led team. We got 7 returning starters on that side. When we come out of the locker room, we look like a Big Ten team now. We've got length, we got size, we got the heavy-handed players. And to know and understand when I say we know who we are, we know what it takes to win in the Big Ten. We know that if you want to be successful in November in the Big Ten, you're going to have to deal with the elements. It'll be some weather, it'll be some wind, which means you got to be able to run the ball and the physicality of stopping the run. And we've built our defense for us to be able to do that in November, and now we've got to just go do it.
So you had rarefied air having the same starting quarterback for so long, since 2020. What kind of changes does that bring this year as you'll have someone new under center, specifically for you as well?
Well, the system has shown that it's bulletproof because before Taulia, this system, had Tua Tagovailoa playing it. It had Mac Jones. It had Jalen Hurts. It had Juice Williams. It's had some really talented players play in it. And what Leah was able to do is be a part of building this foundation. And I think the biggest impact you'll see with having a new quarterback is the legacy that the old one left of how to prepare yourself, how to put the work in the off season, and the structure necessary to be a winning quarterback in this league.
Does being back in that room and hands-on with that room give you a little different energy?
It does, man. It forced me to lose a bunch of weight.
Running around?
I can't walk from drill to drill because I got to run from drill to drill like I tell my players. And it's been almost like I feel like Benjamin Button because I don't feel like I'm getting old. When you go back in that room, it's so rejuvenating to be on the front line of the day-to-day preparation. We got a big decision to make in who our quarterback's going to be based on competition, and to have that bird's eye view of being in that room and doing the installs and making the corrections, it gives me the ability to make the best decision for our team. And it also, I think, it adds to where Josh now is a walk-around guy that can work with the quarterbacks, receivers, running backs. I did that at Bama my year. I coordinated, and it was one of the best things for our team.
You mentioned that room at Alabama with Jalen, Tua, Mac Jones, a lot of talent. Does that experience help going into an experience like this where it's 4 different guys competing?
Every experience like that plays a part because whether it was that experience or whether the young quarterbacks we had to play at Maryland my last time I was here, Perry Hills and Caleb Rowe, 2 true freshmen that were thrown into the fire at an early age. And so understanding how this competition needs to work and having been through the process of having to make these decisions on multiple occasions, I feel really equipped to put the best guy out there that gives us the best chance to win.
The good news for those guys is they have some wide receivers to throw to.
Yeah,
And-
we'll have talent at the receiver position, the tight end position.
Yeah.
It's the unknown that I think will be the surprise position that people will say, wow, I thought they lost all these guys. Well, we had some talented young guys in Preston Thomas and Dylan Wade who both made some plays for us in the bowl game. The running back room with Nolan Ray as a young player and what Roman Hemby has done the last 2-3 years in our program. We're a defensive-led team, and I got the defensive hat on now, but once we figure out who the quarterback is, there's no doubt in my mind Josh will put us in the best possible position offensively to be able to score enough points to win games.
What kind of growth have you seen from Ty Felton, who we've seen it on the field? That answers for itself, but as a leader?
Yeah, that's the part. We did a unique thing when we had this little window during the 4th of July where players had a discretionary 4 days off. And guys like Ty and Dante Trader and a few other guys went down to Exos in Pensacola on their own. It's one of the benefits of NIL money now. They can afford to pay for flights. And we talk a lot about being a pro before you're a pro. And one of the things I learned from, and I used the analogy Grandma's chocolate chip cookie recipe from my time at Bama with Coach Saban, is seeing the guys like Julio Jones come back doing spring ball and summer workouts, and these guys are witnessing a pro, how he practices on his own, he trains, there's no coach pushing him, and then he's challenging them to live up to the standard of that he left for the Bama program. And so sending Ty down there gave him a chance to see and compete because pro guys are there training as well. And I think it'll help his confidence because Ty's a really talented player. He's waited his turn behind some talented guys to maybe not get the accolades that he should have received. But I expect a big year out of Ty Felton this year.
And does having an alum like Stephon Diggs, who Ty's run routes with, is that a pretty special opportunity for their growth too?
Anytime, and again, it goes back to the Julio story, to have Steph come back, hold his camp there. He's one of those guys that's sneaking into the indoor facility at 12 o'clock because Steph doesn't sleep, but he works. And so for Ty and our young receivers and the other players that play that position to have a chance to work with a pro like Stephon, man, it's an invaluable experience that I call it paying it forward because the experiences that Steph went through, he can share with Ty and maybe create an opportunity for Ty to not maybe run into some of the roadblocks he ran into. And that's why we talk a lot about committing and being invested in the community around our program.
The National Coalition of Minority Coaches, what has it been like for you building that, and what has it done specifically for those coaches?
Yeah, it's been a great experience. Again, with the same thought process of paying things forward. I'm on the back nine of my career. I'm about 10 years away from putting these up and doing what you do, and to pay it forward through the coalition. And I tell people the story all the time. I grew up in an era where I watched John Thompson at Georgetown. I grew up in D.C. when he became the first black head coach to win a national championship at the Division I level of any kind. And then I saw him march off the court and stand for Prop 48 for minorities that had trouble getting into college because of the discretionary of the SAT scores. And he walked off the court and stood up for me to have the opportunity to go to college. And so to see how he was part of the foundation that built the Black Coaches Association, which kind of met the needs of all black coaches in any sport. Football is the engine that drives the train for most universities and the money involved in it. To create a organization that I hope can withstand 100 years of time and know that it was a part of paying forward and preparing, promoting, producing the next generation of Coach Locksley's, Coach Thompson's. If I can leave it better than what it was when I came, then I feel like I'll have a chance to be successful in whatever it is I choose.
So 4 new teams in this conference, a big expansion. What are, as exciting as it is, what are some of the challenges, especially for a program like you that you travel to Oregon this year?
It is what it is, and I always look at whenever you expand the room, whether it's in a diversity situation, whether it's adding new teams based on the coast, It gives you an opportunity, not a challenge, the opportunity to try new things or to learn a new way to do things. Hey, we got to go to Oregon. So guess what? I'm going to call NFL teams that travel from east to west, and what did you do? It opened up the door for me. So when you expand a room, it opens up the door for new ways of thinking, new ways of attacking, new perspectives on things. And it's funny because this is a political year. You think of, where we are politically, but if it was more like a locker room like we're in now, and you approached it that way, we'd be in such a better place. And that's why I love about the game of football.
Does that excited mindset also translate to the college football playoff expanding?
It's expanding. Expanding the room isn't just about diversity and race. It's bringing in people with different ways of doing it or thinking, or adding more people, which allows the room to grow. When you go from 4 to 12, that's a lot of opportunities for places like the University of Maryland. You think of, the NCAA basketball tournament and how the first round of 64, that opening round of games 1 and 16, and what can happen on one game day if you're given that opportunity to get into a playoffs. It's a whole new ball game, and having been a part of 3 national championship opportunities at Alabama, I know what it takes, and I'm excited about the fact that we're in a league that we will now, because of how we're set up, we'll have an opportunity to do the things, and if we can make the necessary sacrifices, we may find ourselves in the playoffs.
You're one of the longer tenured coaches in this conference now.
Wow.
I know, it's crazy, right? When you say it out loud. What does it mean to you? What's your favorite thing about coaching this program?
Is that I grew up a kid rooting for it. I grew up a Terp fan. I'm a homer. I've always wanted to be the head coach here when I got into coaching, and to now have the ability to have an impact on the history of this program. I worked under Ralph Friedgen, who's one of the more well-respected. I've become really close with Coach Gary Williams, our former basketball coach here. I got to know Coach Drysdale, Lefty, and over the years, and I can tell you, man, it's a great program. Our location is second to none when it comes to being able to develop you on and off the field. People don't understand being in a location like the DMV gives us a chance to build a kid's resume that you can't do when you're in college towns. And that's something that we've got to, sell and keep these top players right here at home.
Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate you.